The Architecture of Reality, Episode 1. Humanity stands at a threshold. For centuries we studied matter, space and time as separate things. Yet every discovery has pointed back to a single, silent fabric that connects them all. The Architecture of Reality explores that fabric, the conscious field that renders existence itself. In this space, spirituality meets physics and intuition meets mathematics. Each episode reveals one structural layer of reality, from resonance and coherence to timelines, entropy, and the evolution of consciousness. You will hear equations, but also examples from daily life. You will not be asked to believe. You will be invited to observe. Together, we'll decode how perception becomes matter, how thought translates into probability, and how the field, alive and intelligent, organizes experience. The goal is not to escape the world, but to understand its operating system, to recognize that the universe is not built, it is rendered. I am Professor Renderberg, your guide through the mechanics of the conscious universe. Welcome to the Architecture of Reality. The lecture begins now. Every worldview, from physics to philosophy, assumes some foundation upon which everything else appears. Classical physics called it space-time. Quantum theory replaced that certainty with fields of probability. Field-based rendering, FBR, goes one step further. It proposes that reality itself is the output of a conscious informational substrate, the field, that both contains and evaluates all potential states before rendering them as experience. As you listen, notice what happens inside you, a small alignment, a resonance, perhaps a question. That's the field already responding. Every curiosity is a signal. 1. Opening foundation. What is the field? Before there was matter, before there was light, there was the field, not an energy cloud, not empty space, but a living lattice of information in potential form. The field is the silent code that reality compiles through every point of observation. Where physics speaks of quantum vacuum and mystics speak of spirit, the field is the bridge between both. Pure informational continuity that becomes form only when interpreted by consciousness. Imagine waking up each morning. For a few seconds before thought returns, the room is undefined, light, sound, sensation assembling. That quiet blur is the field before you name it. Your awareness compiles the world into focus. That's rendering in action. The field, FBR definition, a unified, conscious, non-local substrate that stores, processes, and renders all information into perceivable form through coherence-based selection. Where physics measures interaction energies, FBR treats those interactions as expressions of informational resonance. The field is not energy in space, it is the generator of the very notions of energy and space. Why the universe is not the field? The universe equals the rendered subset, what observation resolves. The field equals the rendering engine, the layer that decides what becomes observable based on coherence between observer and context. Just as a screen displays only those pixels addressed by a program, the universe displays only those states addressed by coherent intent within the field. 1.4 Core Principles. 1. Conscious substrate. Logic consciousness is not an emergent property of matter. It is the governing logic that determines how matter appears. 2. Rendering over creation. Nothing is created from nothing. Possibilities are compiled into experience. 3. Coherence as selector. Among infinite possibilities, the field selects outcomes that maximize informational coherence. 4. Mirror law. Every observation returns information about the observer's coherent state. Perception is participation. 5. Ethical symmetry. Because all renderings occur within one conscious substrate, integrity, alignment without harm, preserves systemic stability. 2. From creation to rendering. Creation implies something arises from nothing. Rendering means decoding pre-existing data into perceivable form. Consciousness does not make the universe, it renders it. Each observer is a rendering node translating field data into sensory geometry. The equation of existence is not a miracle, it is computation through resonance. When an artist paints, the canvas was always blank, yet the colors already existed in the box. Rendering is choosing which frequencies of color to apply. Reality works the same way. The palette is infinite, perception is the brush. 3. Field equation. At the 0 point, coherence equals 1. The initial condition can be expressed as R0 equals phi sub-0 equals 1. R is the rendered state source, the source function, and T0 the timeless origin. Every particle, thought, or event is a phase modulation of that single signal. The field never begins, it differentiates. Picture a still pond. The moment you drop a pebble, ripples spread. The surface didn't start existing, it simply expressed motion. The source is that still water, unbroken, while every ripple is a localized rendering of it. 4. Resonance. Resonance is the language through which the fields speak. When two systems share frequency similarity, information moves effortlessly between them. That is why intuition feels instant, why empathy transmits without words, and why coherent intention alters probability. Resonance determines what data your consciousness can access from the infinite database of the field. You felt it, thinking of a friend and they call seconds later, or walking into a room and sensing tension before anyone speaks. That's field-level communication. Frequencies matching. Information shared without physical medium. 5. Coherence and alignment. Coherence measures internal order, how consistently your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate around one intent. Alignment measures directional agreement between that personal field and the universal field. When both stabilize, distortion drops to near zero and rendering becomes efficient. Reality appears to flow. This is not metaphysics, it is information, physics. You know the feeling, everything clicks. Traffic lights green, emails answered, conversations fluid. That's not luck, it's high coherence. The code you're broadcasting matches the system you're in. 6. Everyday example. Imagine meeting someone who feels familiar within seconds. No history, yet instant trust. That is high band resonance between field signatures. Enter a space that feels heavy or chaotic, and you are sensing incoherence in its informational pattern. The body detects these fluctuations long before the intellect names them. Try this. Next time you walk into a cafe, pause before speaking. Feel the room. Does it hum lightly or feel dense? Your perception is measuring coherence faster than any sensor. 7. Application and experiment. To work with the field, practice conscious rendering. Hold one clear intent, no strain, no demand. Simply coherence. Observe the mirror feedback that follows. The field always returns what matches your signal, not your wishes. The experiment is continuous and every thought is data. Before sending a message, stabilize your tone. Before a meeting, center your breath. You're not controlling outcomes. You're aligning the compiler. 8. Closing reflection. The field is not out there. It is the fabric through which out there exists. You are not inside the universe unfolds inside your observation of the field. Understanding this is the first step towards scientific consciousness. So tonight when you close your eyes, notice how the day dissolves back into formless potential. The walls, the sky, the people, all fade, yet existence doesn't end. The field simply waits for your next login at dawn. And I'm Neil Ori, creator of the field-based rendering framework and mirror law. That was Professor Renderberg introducing the foundation of the universe, how the field renders the universe. In the next episode, we'll explore Field Mechanics 101, how reality renders itself. If today's talk resonated, save or share it so others ready for the science of consciousness can find it. Thank you for listening to the Architecture of Reality podcast. I'm Neil Ori. See you in the next render.